I guess it's on. I'll just wait for a few people to come online. Yes, we have a few coming online. Wow, okay, Wasim is also online and he has sent in the request. But before I add him on, just a quick thing. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. So today's live is going to focus on hi everybody. Today's live is going to kind of focus upon the field of exhibition and space design and about spatial experiences. And the guest that we have today, Wasim Khan. He, more than being a mentor to me, he is a graduate of NIT, one of the first. He graduated in 2002, and then now he's a director of Lemon Design Private Limited, which operates out of Pune. He is a leading museum designer in the country, having done a couple of museums already. And well, I think more of it we will do in the gupshup and the chat that we have with him moving forward. And okay, let's see if he is on. Yes, just 1 second. Okay, so while I try to get him on, who am I? I'm Vivek. I am also an alumni from NIT. I graduated in 2010, and I studied exhibition and space design. Have been practicing since. It's been about 7 years that I have been practicing and doing running my own studio. But before that, I was working under Wasim Khan and with Wasim. So there is a lot that we can chat up over here, and that is what we are excited about. But that is if I am able to get him online. 1 second. I see a lot of friends joining in. Hi, everybody. Okay. Sorry. 1 sec. Okay. Yeah. We are waiting for Wasim to join in. Hi,
Yo.
Wasim.
Hi.
Hi. We have you on board. Okay.
Finally.
I believe
Yeah.
everybody can hear us. And yes, he should be around. Yes, he is. He is. Hi. And
Hi.
so, yeah. Hello. How are you doing, Wasim?
I'm good. I'm good. A little nervous though, obviously. I'm a more tactile person. So, talking to people on the video chats, I've been doing that a lot in the last 3 months, but
Ah,
I'm not too much of a phone person anyways. So, this is
yeah.
a little, yeah. I mean, it's a little nerve-wracking now, but I think I'll get used to it maybe five
Uh,
minutes down the line. Quick learner.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. I'll just take those 2-3 minutes to kind of for a lot of people who've just joined in. We also have Bounty online now, and so for everybody who's just joined in, guys, we are today having our Bate session with Wasim Khan, and Bate has very graciously asked me about
Same.
it, and I was quite excited to be chatting with Wasim because. Well, yes, that's the first place that I started working at after and before even graduating. That's the place I did my internship with him, and then I think it's just going to be something that we're going to chat up about. So, Wasim, let's start about let's start with NID. I think
Yep.
how a person from
Yeah.
how from Allahabad to NID.
Okay. Let me take you a little further back down the line in history. I belong to Allahabad, but I've never really stayed there. So
Okay.
people think that I'm from Allahabad because I'm as tall as Amitabh Bachchan, and everybody just correlates that to me being from Allahabad. But that's as much of a connection I have with Allahabad. But that's my ancestral place. So that's the place that I used to go during my vacations, and nothing much more than that. I grew up in a small town called Jamshedpur, Uh, a beautiful place. I mean, it's small, but it kind of ruined my impression of the rest of the world when I was a child. Because I thought every place that I would go to next would be as beautiful and as planned and disciplined and organized as that little town that I stayed in. And to my surprise, the next place I moved from Jamshedpur after my 10th standard, I landed up in Delhi. So that
Wow.
that
Okay.
that change was quite a big change for me. So I did my 10th from Jamshedpur, from a small town, and I had a very normal, standard, basic childhood, uh, limited exposure to things, and I grew up obviously thinking that I would also have to become an engineer, like most of our stories. That's nothing new. I mean, we grew up in a time where there were very few disciplines that you could actually kind of get into, and sometimes when you are decent at studies, you have a very different kind of life that people think for you. So
Yeah.
I was great at math. I was great at maths. I was great at science, and that actually unfortunately became a demerit in having options to do post my basic education. So everybody
Ah.
thought that he's done consistently well in these subjects, and he's going to be an engineer. There's no doubt about that, and nobody really questioned that part of it. But I did a uh, somersault post my 12th standard, and I gave
Hmm.
everybody obviously a shock where I completely switched, saying that I didn't want to do engineering anymore. I didn't want to do any of the traditional disciplines. I wanted to do something different. And at that point of time, I didn't really know what different was. And I was trying alternatives. And we used to have this really nice thing in our school in Delhi, which is called extension lectures. And every Thursday, the last two periods used to be somebody from the industry who was doing something alternate would come and talk
Ah.
to us about
Ah.
those careers and what you would do in those careers. So that kind of exposed us to a lot of different types of careers, from news reading to explorer to a journalist, all different kinds of stuff, and that kind of opened up my mind quite a bit. Nobody from NID came for sure, and nobody talked about design, but I did hear about NID, and I kind of got to know this place from one of my local guardian in Delhi. Who used to be the head of the department at Jamia Department of Art, basically fine arts. And he said that if you really want to do something in art or design, I recommend that you kind of, go to this place in Ahmedabad. Even he hadn't been there, but he had heard of it, and obviously he knew about it. And my eldest brother, who was actually is basically a master of fine arts from Delhi, he kind of on his college tour had come to Ahmedabad and had come to NID, but like NID, that time people never used to be allowed inside NID without a permission, and they landed up
Ah.
on a weekend and they were not allowed inside. So he saw NID from outside and he said, it was great. So, I think you should try if you really want to get into something related to art and design. But he was also not sure as to what exactly, I would get into. And I don't know whether they regret now looking at how I lead my life that maybe it was I mean, it was just a coincidence, I guess. I just kind of filled in the form. I filled in the form for NIFT, NID, all of that, and I got through NID, and then I came for the interview, and that place has some magic about it. So once you come
That's
there,
true.
it's difficult to
That's true.
leave that place. So I came for the workshop session. I didn't think I would get through looking at everybody. The people came with like suitcases full of portfolio work, and I had some three sheets that I had with me, and I did get selected, and it just happened. So, and but then after I got selected, I had a choice to make. I had to break it to my parents. Why would I not go to IIT, and why would I go to NID, which then I haven't heard of? So it was a very simple decision for me. I wanted to get away from the traditional disciplines. I thought they were two-dimensional at that point of time. I didn't have the right words to describe it, but I was not interested.
Ah.
I came to NID, fell in love with this place. I mean, the day you step into NID, you knew that that is what you were meant to do, and there was no other way that I could have done anything else other than what I did. So
Ah.
it was just coincidence, and it just worked out for me, and I'm so glad I went to that place. Yeah, and I'm
We are
so
so
glad I
glad that
practiced,
you.
and
I am
I'm
also
so
very
glad I
glad.
practiced design. I'm so glad
I
I
am also
practiced
very glad
design.
that you chose to do this, and you chose to practice design, because well, otherwise I don't know where I would have landed, and where I would have done my internship and eventually mentored by.
Right.
So yeah, for me,
Yeah, we have, a- we have, a-
personally,
we have
Wasim is Wasim and I
sorry.
share a relation about 12 years old, and he's been more than anything. He's been a mentor and an elder brother to me with respect to my professional. The entire professional trajectory has been sort of defined by the work that I've done with him. And just to give a perspective of time to everybody, what Wasim is talking is mid 90s. Is when all of this was
1996 to be
going on.
precise.
1996 to be precise is when all of this was going on, and when Wasim was kind of trying to figure. So yes, NID happened, and then I believe Wasim at that time NID was what you studied was an SLPEP.
Right.
It was SLPEP, and it was a 5-year program, right?
We,
At
we,
that
we
point.
thought it was sleep. We thought it was sleep spelled wrong. Yeah, but yeah, it was basically school leavers professional education program. The thing
Ah,
is, it was funny, and then we had AAP, which was advanced entry uh, program, basically. So SLPP is what we were, and it
ah.
was a very strange name for a course. Wasn't. It was a diploma, yes, but
Yeah.
when you
It
told
then
somebody that I was
became.
an SLP, I was an SLPP in design. What have you done? I've done SLPP in exhibition design. So that
Yeah,
was
it
a
then
little
became
strange.
GDPD, and now it is BDES.
Yeah, but
So.
looking at now GDPD, I think SLPP was better than GDPD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember a lot of in our beginning first years when people would say, all our seniors such as you
Mm.
and everybody else would say SLPEP and AEP, and we would just be like, 1 second, what is the SLPEP, and then we would be lost in the entire translation of it. So
Yeah,
how was it?
imagine SL is school leavers. We were almost like, we felt like we left school and we dropped out of school and joined this program. But it was good.
Yeah.
It was a longer program then, and
Uh,
I think I was fortunate to get into NID, or I feel, I don't know about other people's experiences, but I think everybody during my time period, or little before, or maybe just a little after, were really
uh,
fortunate to kind of get into that place at that particular period of time, because we kind of saw the transition between analog to digital.
yeah.
So that whole transition happened while we were there. So it was a slightly longer program for us. For me, it was a 4.5 year program, and I finished in a little over 5 years, because I think I took a little more time doing my diploma project, and I was doing stuff in between. So that took longer. So that according to that time's timeline, 5 years was a good timeline, very very good timeline to finish an ID. There are
I'm
people
sure.
like
I'm sure.
yeah. So yeah, I was very proud of that, but I don't know why I was proud of it. But yeah, I never really tried to be the first in class saying that I'll finish first and all of that crap. So I didn't really try to do that, but it just happened. Everything went out fine, and like I said, getting into exhibition design again was almost as if it was meant to be, because when I
Yeah, I
joined
was just
NID, I
actually going to
joined.
come. I was just going to come to that. Sorry to cut you, Wasim,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
everybody's information. So, guys, when Wasim joined in '96, there was no exhibition design at that point. Of course, there was 10 years before that when we've had Suranjana and a lot of other people who graduated back then. But it closed. The department was closed for 10 years, and so I want to bring that up, Wasim. How since you guys are the first batch of
Yeah.
'97, starting in '97, so
997, right. So basically, like I said, when I joined NID, I wanted to do graphics, and while I was at NID, I wanted to do everything else. That's the story of all of our lives, because you suddenly get exposed to such beautiful designs of streams of design, that you kind of want to do everything. Everything seems exciting. Everything is so interesting. And for us, it was an open studio, so the whole
yeah.
the campus was very different than what it is right now. So we would, just walk around, sit anywhere we wanted to, and even if we were not sitting, we were passing by. We could look over people's work while passing by. So there was a lot of interaction between disciplines, and you kind of, uh, there were so many things you wanted to do. And towards the end of the third semester is when we were actually kind of supposed to select a discipline, and I was again in a dilemma, saying that what should I choose, because this is a decision time. We all don't like making decisions it's a
Huh.
little scary
Huh.
sometimes. And suddenly they told us that, okay, we would possibly start a discipline called exhibition design
Huh.
if there are like minimum 5 people opting for the discipline. And this is
Hmm.
within a batch. During our time, the undergrad batch used to be 40 people only. So there used to be 40 people in a class.
Wow.
So 5 people
For
out
all
of
the
40.
new bachas, for all the new bachas right now, that may be like, how did it even happen at 40? You know, like
Yeah,
I
I know.
believe there are
I
there are
believe 40 people are there in a stream right now, but
yeah,
in a
you know,
class. But
40
yeah,
people in one batch within
one batch.
foundation is what I think
Wow.
it is. Yeah.
So it was a pretty big deal, saying 5 people out of 40 need to opt for exhibition design, a discipline that nobody had seen because all the other disciplines we were exposed to. This was a discipline we
Of
had heard
course.
of, but we had not seen what it would kind of entail. So we did. I mean, some of us were really convinced that that discipline could give us an opportunity to do a lot more than what let's say any single discipline would give us. And because we could not fix on one discipline, let's make a choice of a discipline that lets you do everything. And then as life goes on, you decide what you really want to focus on and take it further. So we said that some of us, like a couple of us, were really convinced, but we were still
Huh.
not sure as to who else would be convinced. And we did a full canvassing among our classmates, and tried to convince people that it's really going to be the discipline of the future, and let's uh, please if you could kind of consider. So we did our canvassing, and to our surprise, 6 people chose the discipline, and we were the first 6 of the new batch. So obviously, a lot of credit goes to the people who kind of initiated this whole thing, like Suranjana and Choksi. All these guys were there, and they were the guys.
Yeah.
They were people who had already worked on huge number of exhibition as a part of NID during the times at NID, and we,
Yeah.
we were still to kind of come upon those stories, want to join the discipline, but we were welcomed by, like, I mean, I would give credit to Choksi, Suranjana, like big time, because they knew we were the first batch and we were special to
Huh.
them also.
Huh.
And they treated us so well, and they treated us with so much care and this thing that, all of us turned out to be our own people after that. And, we might have
Huh.
learned certain things, we might have not learned certain things as let's say, technicalities, but they made us into confident people. They made us into people
Hmm.
who really thought they could actually do things, and that the belief and self-confidence is actually what works in the long run for you. So
Of
technicalities you
course.
can technicalities you can learn. Certain
And
skills
they're
that
always
you might have missed
upgrading.
out.
They're always
You
upgrading, right?
you keep
So
learning. Learning doesn't stop, but making sure the
absolutely.
right mentors mentored you was really
Hmm.
important. And then that whole dream began after that. And for the next 2.5, 3 years, we worked so closely with the faculty on different projects and like normal projects. And we heard so many stories of times like when they did the Nehru exhibition with Eames, and those names and those whole stories were actually what kind of made us believe in this beautiful dream that we had, and we could kind of do things which would actually make a difference. So we kind of grew up listening to those stories and listening to experiences of people who we hadn't met, Dashrath Patel, all these people. And through these lineage of mentors, we kind of, that whole experience and stories got passed on to us. So even though we were not there in the
Yeah.
60s and the 70s and the 80s, we felt like we knew the 60s, 70s, and 80s like inside out, and that made us believe in the whole discipline of design, why design was why NID was initiated, what is the purpose of design, and all
Hmm.
of that, kind of came from multiple point of views, and that kind of became a very cornerstone for making us and making our philosophies come out in a certain way. So that was a
Wow.
great time, and it was beautiful
Wow.
because there was no differentiation between pleasure and work at that point of time. I
I'm
mean, we
sure.
worked really hard, and believe me, exhibition design is not an easy discipline.
I
All
can
the other
vouch for
disciplines
that.
also are hard, but we felt that exhibition design was much harder than a lot of other disciplines, and because it was very expansive. It had too many dimensions to it. It was just not three-dimensional. Now we know that it's the theaters go up to 14D and 17D, and we're still going further on Ds. This discipline had, uh, I mean, it's difficult to define how many dimensions it had, but it was completely well rounded up. It was a more holistic discipline for me, so to say,
Huh.
because
Huh.
it kind of catered to people, it kind of catered to processes, it kind of catered to managing people, it catered to multiple disciplines of design, like structural, communication design, big way, video, film. It kind of could put all of this together, and
So
it
what were
put
your
you right
other
at the top.
options? What were the other options that you were considering?
I gave myself no option. I wanted exhibition design and I wanted only that. So I don't know what would have happened if they didn't give me that discipline, or the discipline was not kind of formalized. I really
Huh.
don't know what I would have taken up. I would have just said something
Huh.
random and done something really random at that point of time. But it would have kind of been in between, let's say, graphic design or product design, one of the two.
Wow.
So
Okay.
because like you say, exhibition is a merger of both, so it kind of worked out to me.
Absolutely.
I got both. I got both. I didn't have to choose between one. So yeah, so
There
we
is
took an
there is
exhibition design. Yeah,
huh.
yeah.
No,
Go on.
there's a very interesting question that has come up from Nikita
Hmm.
Chilukuri. Were there anyone in your
Ah.
batch who took a discipline and regretted because they later realized they were interested in some other discipline?
Like I
I
said,
think since we
if
are on the
you if
nostalgia lane.
no, I don't think anybody. I don't know for sure, but at least I can vouch for. I think 5 or 6 people. I won't say who the sixth one is, but I can vouch for 5 or 6 people who I don't think anybody of this any of us regretted, because like I said, it gave you an opportunity to kind of do work that you were really interested in, because you could kind of tonalize your work based on that. Like the six
Hmm.
of us, we all do different work now.
Yeah,
One person has gone into, like Nitin Patel, right?
yeah, of course.
He's using his understanding of exhibition or spatial design in his illustration
A lot
sketches
of
and the painting
students
that he
on
makes.
yeah, a lot of
Right,
students here also know Nitin Patel because he's taught them.
right. Right. So
Yeah.
he had this inherent skill of sketching and visualization. He took it from physical to virtual first, and from virtual then he's gotten into completely illustrations and paintings. So
Hmm.
and like Siddharth Chatterjee, he's doing very different kind of project than I am doing. Raj Kala was
Yeah.
there. He's doing very different kind of project than I'm doing. So all of us are doing very different kind of work. We all just found our own space within what we learned, and kind of our careers and trajectory kind of were based on that. So my own trajectory from when I got out of NID to now is kind of very wavy, and I mean I got directly into, I was welcomed into Lemon Design very graciously by Bhavani, and that also happened by chance.
Hmm.
And also during my time
And
at
and this year we are celebrating 20 years of Lemon Design.
20 years of design, right,
So
at Lemon Design,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I think a lot of things happen not by chance, I would say by design in some sense, and it just happened at the right time at the right place, maybe. So
Huh.
like when I got into exhibition design and I chose to take exhibition design, and I got exhibition design, and then after that it was a dream. And then while we were studying at exhibition discipline, we were mostly taught work in two areas: exhibitions and museums.
Okay.
Because at that point of time there was no retail, there was no hospitality, there were no workspaces, there were none of these experience design. None of them were as were the
As
forefront of the
defined as they
industry.
are today. As defined
Right.
as they are today in the
Correct. So it was only exhibitions and a little bit of trade show that started in the early 90s. So we saw our super seniors. We used to go to Auto Expo and see Amar do this crazy stall for Eicher, and for a lot of these large scale exhibitions were being done by them. So we got only exposure. That was the only exposure we had of exhibition design.
huh.
Museums were far and few, so that was again a different thing. But we still got trained into how exhibitions were done and how exhibitions were communication. It was about relationship between objects and things and spaces and how they come together. We learned very, very, a very, very pure form of exhibition or museum design, let's say. And then you come out and then you don't really know what to do, because
Yeah.
we were taught
Yeah,
how to do
exactly.
great
What do you
this.
do after learning all of this? How did you also
Yeah.
take over? Also, by the way, Suranjana is online. Also has
Wow.
joined us.
Oh God.
So some
She
pressure
gets.
on you. Some pressure on you.
No, no. I've only said good things about her, so it's okay. Yeah, no, no. Because
Yeah.
I mean, she's had a great role to play in my life, personally and professionally also. So I mean, I give a lot of credit to her. I mean, as to what I am. But yeah, so basically, what design school does, it teaches you how to do design. It never
Yeah.
teaches you how to practice design. That's always a
Yeah.
shortcoming of most of the design institutes across the across the country and mostly across the world also.
Very true.
They don't give you the tools to practice design as much as they should, very minimally, but that's about it. So
Hmm.
we were taught to do great design. They made us into good designers, at least, or at least taught us how to be good designers. And when we came out, there were limited options at that point. This is early 2000s, and there were not too many
Hmm.
places you could go to. And while at NID, there were a lot of crazy things that I was doing apart from doing exhibition design. So one of the
Huh.
things that I was doing, obviously, was we were doing Laser Rec, which was the movies that we used to show every Friday, 3 movies throughout the
Yeah.
night. I kind of ended up being the head of the that little organization at that point of time. And there were the seniors who kind of used to tell us stories, and there were so many stories, and we got very influenced by this whole at that point of time, Star Wars, Jurassic Park had just come out. So all these films were coming out, and we got very, very kind of
I think we are losing.
I
Oops,
all these
sorry.
uh,
Yeah.
no. So we got very, very influenced by these films, and all of us, who
One
wanted
sec,
to do.
Wasim, we are
Yeah,
just losing you. We
yeah,
are just
sure.
losing you. Some network glitch, I believe. Yeah, I think it's good
Am
now.
I
Yeah,
better now? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So basically,
LaserX.
yeah, LaserRec. Yes, LaserRec, and at the same time, we were very influenced by these films that were happening. So films were
Ah,
a big influence in our lives, and we saw Jurassic Park, and we saw Star Wars, and it kind of just gave us a sense of production design, so to say, or let's say special effects, or all those things were just coming in a really, really big way. And we got so influenced that we all wanted to go to ILM and create another Star Wars, or go and intern with George Lucas and Steven
I'm sure.
Spielberg, and do one of those things. And we were actually stupid enough to write letters to these people, also write letters to ILM asking for internship, and wanting to go there and do
Oh,
stuff.
which is fantastic. I
But
don't think we did that.
yeah, but yeah, so it was just the liking for doing it. So what we did was, we thought we started small, and by a natural progression of how things went, we started adding things onto LaserRec. We started doing the tickets in a really fancy way. We would get these photocopies and last them color it with every ticket was colored with our own hand. So when we showed
Wow.
Romeo and Juliet, so Romeo and Juliet had this long ticket that said Romeo and Juliet with the plus in the center. We hand colored every plus with red color after the photocopying was done. So
Wow.
we used
Okay.
to start doing all of these little things just for our own satisfaction because it made us feel good. And when people received it, they felt good. So I think this
No,
was
of
the
course, and
advent
it
of
was
my
detail.
liking.
No, it was
Right,
detail
and
at the
that
end of the day. Okay, we have Wasim a little stuck.
now,
Let's see.
am I
Yeah,
better now?
continue, Wasim. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so we started small and we just started doing it out of the love for it. And nobody asked us to do it. We'd finish studio at 7 in the evening on Friday, and then we had only a couple of hours to do whatever we had to
Huh,
do. There was no
huh,
money, obviously. None of that was there. So
huh.
everything had to be like either coming out from your own pocket or free of cost. So a lot of recycling, upcycling,
Yeah,
sustainable methods were practiced at that point of time by default. And I think that became a conscious learning all through and through. So till today, whenever I do a project, I am very, very, very conscious of the fact that I don't overspend. I don't overspend. Not that it's my money, but it's a client's money, and I don't believe that it's fair to spend somebody's money just because somebody else's money. So I'm very so
of course.
certain things were kind of ingrained into me while I was at NID, and so we started doing that, and then we grew from there, and we thought that the TV was small, so we started doing slightly larger projection. We started doing big projection in the mess, and then we started doing themed laser rec. So we started
Huh.
with first theme obviously being the horror stories, then came the series of Jurassic Parks, and we did. I mean, everybody came together to do such lovely stuff, and we created experiences out of these films screenings. So like the
That's what
Jurassic Park
truly
was completely themed
multifaceted
in the mess.
experiences.
Right,
Multifaceted
and everybody
experiences.
came together. Everybody came together because everybody had different skills, and that's kind of ended up being how I work today. Also, I mean, there's a lot of
Wow.
collaboration that happens in my work, and when I'm doing a museum, I work with at least 20 to 25 consultants, and
Of
they are
course.
only consultants at the top of it, and they have their own teams behind it. So we're working with 200 to 250 people at a given point of time, and working with people, making sure that they bring the best to the table, and you making sure as a director that everything comes to place like the vision that you've created. So
Yeah.
that's the learning I started there. So one small incident I remember, Sandli, I should mention. I don't know whether Nitin is online or not. We were doing this horror story screening, and Nitin was trying to hang a dummy dead body from the tree that
Huh.
was right outside the mess. And while all of
Wow.
us were kind
Okay.
of doing the decor inside, he climbed up the
Huh.
tree without too much help. And while
Huh.
hanging dummy, the dummy got hung, but Nitin Patel came down from the tree.
Oh shit.
So,
Oh
but
shit.
but look at that. And I was inside the mess. I didn't even know what was
Huh.
happening because there was so much of a rush. He was taken to the hospital, and when the movie started, he was sitting in the
Huh.
first row with his leg plastered, and that's when I actually got to know.
Yeah, that's what
And
Ekta just wrote.
everything,
Nathan broke his leg.
Yeah, so things were happening at like a crazy thing, and like things like when we were doing the Jurassic Park, we were creating the experience. So we created this whole mess with whatever borrowed lights we could borrow from, and paper and cellophane and whatever it is, broken trees, plants put into the mess, rearrange the whole thing, and then all that was done, and then we kind of
Okay.
with
Man,
this
I hate
posters, and it
technology
became backlit
interrupting us
posters using
at
paper.
such points. One sec, Wasim. We've lost
Yeah.
you. We've lost you for a second. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, so I started doing backlit paper cut posters. So I used to use
Wow.
thin paper, and I used to put a light behind it and kind of create a backlit poster. So it just went on, and then you know people were so enthusiastic, and there was so much enthusiasm in bringing this
huh.
together, this experience together, that people
Huh.
did it out of like they went to all extents. So simple thing like somebody came up with the idea, okay, while people are entering the a mess, why don't we create the sound of dinosaurs, so that it can, and we obviously don't have equipment, we don't have any kind of devices to kind of create that. So two people ran up to the terrace, and we have there's
Okay.
heavy benches at the UTM with the one with the concrete bases and the wooden thing. They carried the benches right to the terrace, and while people were entering, they started picking up the benches and dropping it on the terrace. I mean, if people
Wow.
from NIT must be listening to this,
Yeah.
and then
And
because of the NIT structure,
Bhavani is writing, Ayaz made pop eggs and was jumping on the mess terrace roof during the film.
right. So
I
people
can't
were
imagine
creating like
Ayaz doing something like that.
no. Ayaz was a very big part of this whole show. Like the whole gang of people who wanted to go to ILM, Ayaz was one of them, and he was a pet dinosaur. He can still do that walk. You can ask him to do a Velociraptor, and he'll do it for you.
Next time we go
So
live
he was
with
great
him,
at
I'm
that.
going to
So
ask him to do that.
yeah, so and he does this really crazy face with the sound and all of that. So it was great. So people used to come up with ingenious ideas to get the effect in place without having too many devices or tools with them, and that was brilliant. That was really brilliant, and that kind of that's how we learn things. So today we don't complain about even if the budget is little less for a project, or certain things can't be done. You find ways to do it, and things
course.
like sustainability, thing like being conscious about what we're using and how we're practicing it in terms of all the aspects. I don't think that sometimes we will blame the client for being difficult. I think all the client constraints should become a design constraint. They're not a challenge. Not everything has to go against them. So I'm saying that okay, if there is a budget constraint, that is a constraint. That's a design challenge, and you have to resolve that through. You have to resolve it through design. Yeah, you have to resolve it through design. You can't say the budget was less, so I did a bad job. You can't say that. So whatever you can do, and that becomes your challenge, and that kind of like the client relationship is very important. So once you kind of break through the first barrier, and you make him feel that you are on his side, you can work wonders. You can work wonders. Everything
No,
works
I can,
after that.
and I
So,
think Wasim, all these little anecdotes and these little stories that you've brought out. Of course, while it is amazing for nostalgia, we can see with so many people like Hemant Sutar and Bhavani and Ekta and everybody have involved
right.
themselves in a conversation on the comments. That's why I've left it on also. But
Yeah.
what is amazing is the learning that you extrapolate out of that, which you of course realize
Correct.
much later in life.
Absolutely.
And so what happened after Lemon? Like, can you tell us about the kind of things at Lemon?
Yeah.
And,
So
from a completely
I-
clueless what to do in exit to okay, Lemon director at Lemon Design, heading spatial experiences over there, and how did that come about?
Okay, that's that's a very simple story. It's not a very long story because the decision happened in a second. So basically, I finished NIRI, and I had sent my resumes to the 3 or 4 places that were existing that I could work at possibly. So a couple of companies in Bangalore, Delhi, and maybe because I was still influenced by entertainment. I obviously sent my resumes to Vizcraft, and I had interview lined up. So I had some interviews lined up in Bombay with mostly these entertainment companies like Vizcraft and stuff, because that was the closest I could think of, where this, because I love scale. I'll accept, I'll own up today that I love the scale aspect
Big
of
scale.
things. I like big scale. That really kind of puts me in a really tight spot, and I like getting out of that as a challenge. So I like challenging myself big, and so that scale, I thought Vizcraft could give me, and other companies there. So I had a few things lined up, and I came down to Pune to visit Bhavani. So I said between getting into a place where I would start working and I would not get a chutti, let me just take a break. And I came to Pune because he had just started off Lemon in Pune a year ago. And I came during the same time as it now, maybe a little later, maybe end July. I'm in the midst of monsoon. And I came to visit him for a couple of days, and I thought that I'll just stay for a couple of days and then go back to Bombay, do my interview, and just start working. And not a very long-term definite plan, but I just wanted to start working in places that I liked. So I came for 3 days. I stayed for 10, obviously, because Pune was beautiful. It didn't let me leave, and
And it didn't let you
almost
leave till date. Till date.
it still hasn't let me leave. Yeah, it still hasn't
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
leave it. So on the last day before I was supposed to leave, Bhavani asked me, "What do you want to do? What's the plan?" So I said, "I don't know. I've got a couple of interviews lined up. I'll go and maybe I'll see what's going to happen." So he says that, "Why don't you do what you want to do at other places here?" And that time, Lemon was three people. Lemon was three people at that point of time: Bhavani, Shalini, and one employee at that point of time. So it was very, very a simple question he asked me, and I gave him an answer as simple as that. I said, "Okay." So that was my decision-making thing. I said, "Okay."
Wow.
And we didn't discuss anything beyond that. So I said, "Okay." I went back to Ahmedabad, picked up that one bag that I had from NID, and I came back in a week's time, and that was the starting of my career at Lemon. And like I said, we were very few people at Lemon at that point of time, and we didn't have a spatial design discipline. So to try to figure out how to, there's a big catch-22 situation that happens with especially projects that are physically implementable, let's say, like architecture or spatial design, all of that.
Also, I want to touch upon one thing, Wasim, is that, as you mentioned earlier, that the trajectories of the so-called disciplines of retail and hospitality and all of those were not existent per se as we see them today back then. And then Lemon happened, you started working at Lemon, and then also at the same time, these disciplines started taking shape. And it must be a lot of self-learning also how to operate within these disciplines. So it's something, meaning when you're talking about it, if you can add those aspects also.
Yeah, sure. So basically, when I started off, my whole job was to start the discipline of spatial design at Lemon. And obviously, there was no mentoring that was going to happen. And when you come outside at the institute level, you have a lot of interaction. But when you start working in a company, your interaction gets limited to people working in the company and the limited reach that you have outside. How do you meet clients? Where do you find clients? Who is my client? Who should I call? How do you get to know that information? So that's a huge challenge at that point of time. People were not looking out for you because they didn't know you existed. So right now what happens is, because these teams are existing and you have a lot of web presence and people hear of you and all of that, so people get in touch with you. But at that point of time, nobody knew that we existed as designers to actually get in touch. And 2.5 to 3 years just trying to figure out my way around getting my first project. So I was doing that. I was doing all kind of other work that I kind of wanted to do. So I was doing graphic design. I was helping out in brochures. We were making films at that point of time, and internet was picking up in a big way, and CD-ROMs and websites were coming in a big way. And Lemon was really good at doing websites. And so we started doing all of that. So I started doing a lot of these things in the midst of looking for my first project to do. And in almost like after 2.5 to 3 years is when I actually landed up with my first project, and it was a pro bono project. And one of our friends in one of the social gatherings said that, I work in this IT company, and I work in the marketing department, and we have this department. It's very boring. It's not, the rest of the place we don't care about. The marketing needs to have that flavor. It needs to, have that vibe. So can you help us with that? We said, okay, let's go and see. So I went and met the people, and it was small, like a 1,500 square feet space with already existing furniture and the whole setup. So my job was to basically spruce up the. Can you make the experience better in this place? That was my basic. Yeah.
Sorry, we lost you. We lost you for a couple of minutes. Seconds. So if you could just go back a little. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, I went and saw this space where they wanted me to do the work, and it was like a small 1,200 square feet space, and with all the existing furniture of the office, like the cubicles were already there, and everything was in place. So my job was not to kind of change any of that.
Yeah.
My job was to create a layer over the existing stuff to make the experience more engaging and for people coming there. So that was the basic brief. And I was the only person in obviously space design at that point of time at Lemon because we didn't
Yeah.
have a project to actually start hiring or employing people. So
Yeah.
we took on the project, and from there it all began. The project exactly like the way I did my NID projects.
Okay.
I managed to get my things done. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It keeps going in between for
Yeah.
a second or two, and then it comes back.
Sorry,
So
it
yeah.
was crazily raining in Pune, so the network might be a little fluctuating.
Yeah.
Because I was so and I was given a budget. I was given 65,000 rupees. I remember till date. I was given
Wow.
65,000 rupees as a turnkey budget, saying that we
Okay.
don't have money to pay you design,
Ah.
but this is a total budget. If you can save up whatever money you can save up, that's your design fee. But imagine working with a 65,000 budget. Today might seem like, are you joking? But the point is, I came from
Yeah.
doing stuff at NID, which I was doing for free. So for me, 65,000 of a budget was a great amount of budget. And then we went ahead and did this whole thing, and they were really happy with what happened. And to 9,000 rupees rather than 65,000 rupees, so it was still a profitable project. So so yeah, I mean it's just how you want to deal with the whole thing. So we started from there, and once we did that, you at least had a project to show. So what happens in a lot of
Yeah.
time where people don't have projects to show because people want to see live projects. People don't want to see conceptual projects because they're letting you build something for them. And most of our projects are very, very high investment. And once things are
Hmm.
built, you cannot change it so easily. So
Hmm.
it's a very high risk kind of a discipline. So you have to be
Yeah.
really, really careful. So people are that much more conscious about who they're giving the project out to. So now, I mean, when I have conversation with clients now, they're very clear about the fact that they might not give the project to the best designer, so to say, but somebody
Yeah.
who does good design, but also has good capabilities of implementing those projects. And
Yeah.
so you're not only benchmarked or you're not only evaluated only basis design. You're evaluated in how can you take that design idea that you have, which might be great, to execution in a similar way. So the
And
people
convert
evaluate on
it.
the whole package. Yeah, people evaluate on the whole package. If I have great
So
ideas and I can't implement it, I'm still, falling short of a lot of skills. So the whole
so
evaluation. So we started creating this project. So one project led to another, then another, and then somebody asked me to do a film production design in Hyderabad. So I have a big problem. I can't say no to people, and I like doing
yeah, we
everything.
know that. We know that.
I, I, I like doing
We've
it.
all,
No, no, I like doing everything. Honestly
of
speaking, I
course,
like doing everything.
and
I mean,
why not? Why not?
and the reason is, and that whole aspect of me still has, is alive as much today, because I still do things that I haven't done before. So yeah, I went and they packed me off to Hyderabad with the script of the film and the basic explanation, understanding of what the film is going to be. They said, okay,
Yeah.
you go to Hyderabad. The rest of the team is going to come in a month from now. Get the
Huh.
set and everything ready for the shoot by the
Huh.
time we come. So I was packed off to Hyderabad by myself, a new city, a new place, new people to work with, and I was given full freedom. He said, like, yeah, take it. And obviously, with freedom comes responsibility. We all
People
know
are
that.
asking which film. Which film are you talking about?
It was a art film. It was basically a semi-commercial film. It was called Danch. So this was a
Done.
story
Okay.
about it was basically a story based in the Northeast, and it was about a story that happened over a night. So my job was to kind of create that house where the whole film is shot. So
Wow.
it was a purely design exercise for me. So you read the script, you understand all of that, you understand the movements, you understand the shots, you understand lighting, you understand the context of all of that, and you kind of build a house that accommodates and helps you create the scenes more beautifully rather than shooting in an existing house. And because obviously I came from not a production design background, I did everything so thorough and strong that after the shooting was over, that house was still there for a very long period of time being used because it
Ah.
was permanent in nature. Because I don't
Ah.
know how to do I mean, temporary stuff is like something that I don't really believe in too much anymore. So even though I'm doing things that are there for a certain period of time, I try to
Yeah.
build stuff that are slightly more long term, so that they can be reused and repurposed and take further. So that's something that over the last 18, 19 years, we've kind of made it a part of our value system to actually make sure that things don't go to waste. So that
Wow. So,
happened, and then, sorry,
Wasim,
sorry.
I'm going to do slight jumping here because also
Yeah.
we are in lack of time.
Hmm.
But from that particular project, from converting something in 65K into something tangible to doing the film, and 18 years down the line now, Wasim, can you hear me? Yeah.
Now I can hear you. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. 18 years down the line now, since the last 4 or 5 years, one of the leading museum designers of the country, having done some fantastic museums. Uh, this journey must have, of course, been, and in between, for everybody else in between, I'm sure there are more than 150 to 200 plus projects that are live
Hmm.
in existence and have been experienced by a lot of people. But
Right.
this little bit of museum design
Hmm.
and how does it
Hmm.
work with the whole thing?
So yeah, just a quick. I mean, I'll go really fast on this. I know I told you not to let me speak too much. I am a, yeah. So yeah, but what happened was when I like after like I'll quick recap the first 15 years before I did my
Yeah,
first museum.
yeah.
Again, happened by chance, by design or by chance, I don't know. But a lot of good things have happened, and
Hmm.
most of them because of a lot of good people around me. So all credit to them also. So after I did my film, I came back. Then the retail boom happened, and then we became one of the leading companies doing retail design because we did one project after another and very large scale projects. We did as Lemon, we did one of the first supermarket chains in the country before any of the other guys did it for Mr. Chandrababu Naidu at that point of time. Then we did work for TVS. We did a lot of large scale rollouts. And we were still a very, very small company. We were like 12 to 13 people in all at Lemon at that point of time. And out of which the space team had 3 to 4 people.
Huh.
We had, that whole drive was what actually kept us going. We took on projects way larger than what we were actually built to deliver, but we managed to deliver all of them. And it was sheer hard work and passion and nothing else. So passion for doing what you're doing and then hard work alongside. And you know that part of us, right?
I've been
So we
lucky.
did,
I've been lucky also to be a part of that team, and to both
right.
Prateem and Bhavni to be a proud Lemonite for many years. Until now, I consider myself to be one.
Yeah, so we did a lot of retail projects and then retail moved to hospitality. And that point in time, it was majorly retail. And then finally, we did a couple of projects for the Reserve Bank of India. You know that. And we did two traveling exhibitions for them. And that was also a very, very big challenge. We were given a very, very uh, limited amount of time to deliver that thing. And it was on the
Yeah.
75th anniversary of the RBI. And we had to turn around the whole project from research to design to execution to site implementation within 30 days, 30 to 35 days.
Yeah.
And it was a traveling exhibition, so the challenges come with that also. But I think I had a great team that actually made sure that things got done. And a small anecdote before I move to the museum side of it. I remember when we had gone to Calcutta for the installation of the exhibition, and there's a major incident. So this is also because of a certain side of learning, because till today, even after 18 years, things go wrong at the last minute. And you
Ah.
always, no matter how much you kind of make provisions for, a plan B or a
Ah.
plan C, things are not going to
Ah.
go according to your plan. So you have to be thinking on your
Ah.
feet all the time. And
Ah.
that's a very, very big part of being a part of that discipline called exhibition design. You have to be
Yeah.
thinking on your feet. You have to make decisions on the fly. You have to do things that somebody else was supposed to do if somebody else is not there. So we were told
Of
from
course.
the very time at NID, that, Surendra told us, if the exhibition is about to open and it's not clean, you are the one who is supposed to pick up the jhadu and sweep the whole damn floor. And we do that today. I still do it till today. And things go wrong at any given point of time, no matter how many contingencies you build. So
Because the ribbon has to be cut when the ribbon has to be cut.
the
That's
ribbon
one
has to
thing
be
with
cut when the ribbon
exhibition
has to be
design.
cut. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And that's one thing that I love about it also, because the project
Yeah.
ends.
Yes.
You do better stuff after that. So the project
Yeah.
has a certain definite timeline. So we were printing in Calcutta, and everything we had kind of pre-produced in Pune and taken under our supervision and everything. We thought the printing, because the content was still getting finalized and there was still feedback coming from the RBI team.
Yeah.
We kind of went and set base in Calcutta for almost like 7 days.
Huh.
And we never came out of that hotel room, and the hotel got really suspicious. Why are these guys not coming out? Because we had so much work to do on site. So the
Yeah.
content was too much, and we were still trying to make the panels and everything. And so we finally, managed to get everything done. We found a printer that we had found online, and we kind of went and met him. And we had never worked in Calcutta. We didn't really know too many people in Calcutta to help us out with the
Yeah.
production. But we thought that it's only printing. I mean, what could go wrong with
How?
printing?
Yeah. Where,
you send it to the
exactly.
printer, it prints, right?
Yeah.
So we started doing that, and there were almost 110 panels. So we started sending out panels in the night. So batches started coming in while the installation was happening on site, and we had designed a system it could get installed really, really fast. It would take like 2 hours to install the whole thing, 100 panels. So that was sorted, and the panels were coming in batches, and we were fixing the panels. And like we didn't have an on-site team; it was us doing our own work. So like I said, the team was really, really small, and the design team that went from here was actually the ones executing. We had borrowed help, and in the middle of the night before the opening, the last batch of 11 panels was supposed to come. And the printer stopped picking up our calls at 11 in the night.
Wow.
And Rana from our team had visited the printer only once in the 3-4 days that we were there. And he was the only person who knew where the printer was located. And he stopped picking up our calls at 11 till 1 o'clock. We tried, we could not get in touch with him. And the next day was the opening. And then suddenly the people from RBI suddenly sensed the fact that there was something obviously wrong because these guys were hushing around, passing messages, and they were looking really worried. Nobody wanted to say to the client that, this is what is happening. And finally you decide that, there's no other way but to tell the client. Maybe somebody else can help you. So we told the client that this is what happened, and the guy's not picking up a phone, and we don't know what to do because the print has to come. Otherwise, how will it go? And then the client said that, okay, let me sort out something. So we had to actually take police action against the printer in the middle of a night at 4 a.m. We went to his place in the dark, and Rana is trying to look for the location that he had been to because he didn't really know, and everything in the daytime looks different from the night. So he had a very hard time. It was like in a new city. So we went in the car with the RBI official, with the cops, trying to look for this person. And then finally, after a huge amount of difficulty, found his place, and then found him inside that place, woke him up in the middle of the night and told him that if he doesn't print this thing overnight and give it to us in the morning, he is going to be put behind bars. I don't know what was, I'm sure we were all lying at the time. You can't put somebody behind bars for that. But we said that, we would go ahead and do it. So, you just have to kind of do these things sometimes to get your work done. And we managed to get our prints right before the inauguration, and we put it up. And we were told that, everybody's saying that, let's say, the RBI governor is coming. Why don't you guys, because we want to introduce you guys to him. And we said, okay, we'll go back to the hotel, quickly change and come because we're not presentable. We haven't slept in 3 days. We went back to the hotel, and the three of us are sitting, and we ordered some food because we hadn't obviously eaten really well and hadn't slept. So we were sitting on this couch, and we thought we'll grab a bite. And the next thing we remember is we wake up at 8 in the evening with somebody having a spoon in their hand, somebody having food in their mouth. We had just passed out. We had just passed out because we were so tired. And we missed the inauguration, we missed everything, but the work was done. So, the huge, that whole aspect of the satisfaction that you get when you actually end up finishing what you were supposed to do in the best way possible.
It's also the adrenaline towards the opening, I believe, which works in a different, you work in a different zone, different parallel universe.
Right, and like in the same manner, I have almost missed most of my inaugurations. So I have missed meeting a lot of really important people. And that's how it is. And I think that's the DNA that, is there. It's the work that's more important for me. It's not so much the credit that goes behind the work. If I do the work that I do. So the same thing happened, and, it carried forward. And one day I get a call from in 2014, mid 2014, almost like 13 to 14 years after I passed out, learning how to do exhibition in museum and not doing museums and exhibitions. I get a call from Suranjana, obviously, saying that they're building this museum on Gandhi in Gandhinagar, and Shapurji is kind of looking out for somebody, but they don't know who to go to, and they had approached her to kind of manage the whole project in terms of as a mentor for the whole project, figuring out how the team should be set so that the project gets executed. And this project was already delayed, and they had been going rounds doing presentation to the Chief Minister, Mr. Modi, at that point of time, but nothing was getting approved. So they finally landed up at her place, and then she kind of recommended us, and then we went and met it, and we just it was just a very short meeting of half an hour, 45 minutes, where we met the design head at Shapurji, and he said that this is a project and this is what it is. And we looked at it and said, okay, fine, we'll do it. I mean, for us, like I said, challenges are always welcome. So we said we'll do it. We didn't really understand, evaluate the gravity of the situation, that was our. So the closest we had ever gotten to a government project was the RBI, which was hardly government. This was a pure government project. And and if you ask me like 5-7 years back, okay, did I plan to get into government-based projects? I would say no way. But unfortunately or fortunately, I am doing a lot of government projects, and I've kind of understood their ways of working and learned their ways of working, and I am fairly comfortable working with them. Also, for the fact that you get to work on projects that are such large scale that no private investor would actually let you work on that. The museum project range from like 250 crores to 500 crores. I mean, who's going to give you that money to build something? So that money is available, and today it's a very different scene. If you look at all of this. So when we got that project for the Mahatma Mandir Museum, we took it on and we delivered it in record timing. That's the project that even Shapoorji showcases as something that they finished doing from
and it is
foundation.
An award-winning project. It is an award.
Multiple awards across
Yeah.
across the globe. And it's still a benchmark for a museum based on technology, and it's a seamless technology come heart-built museum. So we were trying to experiment something there, and also for the fact that now I work with a lot of people. I don't work with only people at Lemon. I have a lot of collaborators, you being one. So Suranjana, Chatterjee, Nitin, so all of these people. So we have kind of formed an informal collaboration, so to say, and we work on all these large scale.
Can I say the name on live? Can I
yes,
go on live
yes, you
and
can.
say it's called COCO?
It's called COCO, and the full form is called Consortium of Cool. So we think we are really cool people. We do really cool stuff. So we kind of like doing that stuff. So we basically are an informal consortium, and we work on all these big projects together, because I believe that it's difficult for one person to deliver this. Because and I'm in the believer of the fact that the project should be well done no matter who does it. So if I'm the right person to do it, I should do it. If somebody else is, I will happily give away the project to somebody else to do. So, and this whole group came about, I think, at the time of Mahatma Mandir, and we had great times doing that project, and I didn't want to get away from that. And that's when we said that all projects that are happening in the museum sector will be done by this consortium of Cool together. So all the projects we work on together, and right now, like the tons of projects that we have on the roster, like we are doing a couple of science museums. We are doing the aquatic center at the Science City in Ahmedabad. We are doing a police museum in Telangana, and then we are doing we were doing a spiritual museum. The new Pragati Maidan, right. I know I didn't want to say that because people will be saying that why are you working on the new Pragati Maidan when the old one we loved was broken down. But I had no part to play in the breaking down of the whole place. It was already broken down when I got initiated in the project. So we're basically doing the public artworks for the new Pragati Maidan, which is a huge project for us again. And that also involves a lot of craft and all of that stuff. So all these multiple areas that I'm interested in, and that kind of comes together. So right from very small experiential projects for corporate clients like Pidilite or let's say CEAT that we're doing. At the same time, we are doing museums for government and associations at large scale. And then obviously the small
trade shows, the largest trade show IIJS for jewelry. Which
IIJS, the largest trade show.
I know to start on that is going to take a long time. I just wanted to add.
Yeah, we're not. So basically, just to give a gist of it, we manage almost like 10,000 people on site while doing the stuff. So we install almost 7 lakh square feet of space in 11 days, and we take it down in 2. So that's a system design project. It is a design project, but the visual design is a part of it, but it's basically a system design project for us. And we've been working with the client for almost like the last 15 shows. And that's been a huge association and a huge learning. And everybody who comes to work with us or interns with us really wants to work on the project, because that's our test for live projects. If you survive that project on site, you'll survive everything else in life. So that's a really important part of the thing. Yeah.
So sorry, Wasim, we are very short on time, and I want to capture one last thing quickly. And you have less than a minute to tell about it. Is your passion with fashion and being being a director of Change by Design also, along with your wife Karishma Shahani Khan, who is also a very well-known fashion designer, and your involvement with the kind of projects that goes with that.
I see. She does that business completely by herself. Kershaw is hers. I am only a mentor. I give like an outside help. But I am also, like you said, I am also interested in my own clothes and the clothes that I wear. So that kind of brought about that whole idea of, us doing menswear and me collaborating with her on menswear. I like good clothes here. I can't help it. I like good clothes. I like maybe I'm a little extreme on that side when I kind of end up wearing what I wear. but it's not to do anything else, but it's just for my own self. I like wearing good clothes, and
Ah,
it kind of it's a nice aspect because it's all home done. You know, the whole clothing that I wear mostly is homemade.
Vasim, we
So
are
we
going
make
to
it
go
at a,
off. We are going to.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm very, very
Okay.
sorry. I hate to do this. A lot of
Sorry,
people are asking to go again on live and restart, but unfortunately, guys, we are on Bate and we have a
we
time
can't
limit.
go live
And
again.
sorry, but thank you so much, everybody. And thank you,
Thank you.
Vasim. Yeah,
What
Vasim,
is
hi.
happening? What is happening?
Well, we got some requests, and then I get a
Uh,
message from the Bate team that we can take 20 more minutes and go online again since we were
yes,
on. So yes,
this is
we get to
this
cover
is
your
this is
passion
so
project.
yeah, this is so typical. I usually go to a client meeting saying that it'll take 1 hour and I come out after three. Yes.
Yeah,
I
even
should also tell you the fact that I got one of my projects because I had long hair. And now I
uh,
get projects because I have a long beard. I've cut my beard
yeah,
because I'm still in like staying at home. But by the time
uh,
I'm ready to get out to get more projects, I'll have my beard
uh,
grown back. So I get projects like that with my long
wow.
hair and my beards. No, no, actually, that
So
whole
yeah,
the supermarket project. I
uh,
went in for a meeting with Chandrababu Naidu's son,
uh,
and he was like a 23-year-old guy, and I was 28, and we were
uh,
discussing a 200, almost like a 200 crore project
uh,
rollout.
uh,
So we were discussing that, and then suddenly I didn't realize he had to go for a wedding in the night, and we started the meeting at 6:30. And
uh,
I kept him waiting till 9:30. He was getting calls from his home, and they were shouting at him, but he got stuck with me so badly.
uh,
And he finally left at 9:30 after 3.5 hours. And the next morning, he called me up and said that you have the project to do. When can you start work? And then when he started working, almost 9 to 10 months post the project got started, he's telling me, you know why I gave you the project? Because you had long hair. You look different. You look like a designer. I said, thank you so much for giving my hair all the credit. And nobody believes, but I had long hair like you do. And all of us have this phase in life of long hair phase, and everybody should have it and get over it also.
that's true.
So
That's true. I'm giving
yeah,
myself one more season to actually get over it.
yeah, I'm in the long beard phase now. So yeah. So where should we start? Where should we start again?
So
Quickly, because I want
the
to.
passion,
Yeah.
we kind of got, we had to quickly cut and stop at two aspects. One is quick about the collaborative aspect with respect to exhibition design and the idea of how the fact that exhibition design does not happen in isolation is one
Right.
aspect of it.
Right.
And the second thing that you can just continue to cover is about your passion projects with IMG, Reliance, Lakme, Fashion Week, and the kind of projects you've done in London also. So yeah, these two
Right.
aspects
Right.
mainly.
Yeah. So yeah. So obviously, like the whole aspect of spatial design or experience design is, like I said, it's very very challenging because it's a discipline that you cannot practice by yourself. It has to be
Ah,
in collaboration with multiple disciplines, multiple experts from different disciplines coming together to put your vision to reality.
ah,
And getting to organize all of that actually falls on the plate of the museum or the exhibition designer,
hmm,
because you're the one who are actually coordinating all of that.
hmm,
So there's a huge amount of project management that gets involved in that aspect of it. So like if you talk about my last 3 4 years of work, I have to do a lot of these documentation, a lot of processes, a lot of paperwork that has to be done just to make sure your design gets to the seat it has to go through. And
of
also
course.
because a lot of projects are government projects for me, the documentation on that side is very very high. The approval mechanisms are very very lengthy. You have an internal client, you have an external client, you have multiple clients, and the clients keep changing because one chief minister changes to another, one prime minister changes to another, one secretary changes to another, everything changes. So you're working with multiple constraints, but as a discipline itself, getting everybody together to work, like
Hmm.
like I said, we have Coco obviously, so that's my
Yeah,
support system, and I have Lemon, which is again my support system, and obviously the family that I kind of have. So it all comes together at that particular place, and putting all of them together. I mean, if you have the right people at the right place and responsible people, everything becomes very very easy. So right from whether it's a film or whether it's let's say doing structures or furniture or display or communication or interaction now, because technology has come in a big way. So
yeah,
I mean, I was fortunate enough to do one of the most technologically advanced, so they say,
ah,
uh, museum in the country, which is the Mahatma Mandir Museum. And it's
Ah.
got 13 technology that were used for the first time. A lot of them used for the first time in India. And also, I mean, strangely for a project on Gandhi. But like I say, the technology is only a tool. It's a medium of communication.
That's true.
What you're trying to communicate through the technology is what's more important. So I don't limit myself to any tools and techniques, so to say. And all my projects look different from each other because, the project and the process that you follow to do the project kind of lets it evolve to its own unique place. So you don't
Hmm.
really have to have, because, as a spatial designer, everybody keeps asking, do you have a style? Why don't you have a style? Because they compare us to architects and interior designers.
Yeah.
What is your
Yeah.
style? But as designers, we don't really need to have a style because we're not doing stuff for ourselves, and we ourselves as only one component of the whole project. So if you go through the design process and put the right stakeholders at the right place and the right value and systems in the right place, what comes out of it is what satisfies all the challenges and need that you have set forth for a project. And
Yeah.
that's why every project looks very different. Some projects are heavy on technology, some projects are very, very low on technology. There's no technology at all. Some are completely craft oriented, and some are completely virtual. So
Yeah.
you can dabble with all of that. Coming to, let's say, the other side of project that I do, which is basically my passion projects. Most of
Yeah.
them are pro bono, or let's say something that I just do because I love doing that side of work, and it kind of merges with the fashion liking that I have. So I started getting these projects from obviously IMG, and I started doing some sets for their RAM shows, like they're basically their highlight. Let's say on a sustainable day, they're doing a collaborative show, so they would call me and say that, why didn't you do something for them? So I'm not like a proper set designer for them, but I come in when they need something special with a low budget, obviously. So that's
I
two
believe
challenges
that's
that they have
always
in the
the
company.
case. That's
That's always
always
the
the case.
case.
Low budget.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so and that gives me an opportunity every time to do something new, and a lot of that, understanding of fashion or that industry obviously comes with my interaction with Karishma, and so whatever I've kind of spent time with that organization, and we kind of set up this Change by Design company where we wanted to do a lot of work related to education, related to craft. So basically, this organization was set up to kind of do our work related to those areas, though we kind of involve all of that work in our mainstream practice, but a lot of those initiatives are taken into that, which is more social or public domain, let's say, based projects. So
Yeah.
those projects, interesting projects. Again, I collaborate with a lot of people. Like I worked with Sangaru on two of my projects when I needed bamboo structures for the ramp, also,
Wow.
and for one of the projects in London. So the London project was interesting because I actually, it happens at the same time IIJS is happening. So twice I had to kind of leave right after the IIJS or in the middle of IIJS, and I moved from a place where 10,000 people working on site in the conditions we know how the conditions that they work in, and I land up in London in like 12 hours, and I'm working with a set of people who come from a completely different set of values and systems. Here you have 10,000 people putting up one structure, and there you have like two people putting up the whole structure. And
Yeah.
complete. So even they have these earmuffs or the big headphone, the noise cancelers, while they doesn't make sound. Here
I
we're
think there
using,
is. Yeah.
and here we're using like heavy machinery with no safety precautions. So that whole the opposites that you actually have to dabble with is very, very strange. And that learning I try to kind of the system and process and try and bring it here and
I
try and
think
see how we
slight
can
glitch
improve.
again, Vaseem. Slight glitch again with
Yeah.
the
Now
network. Yeah. Now it's good. Oh, we've lost you again.
now am I back?
Uh, yeah, you're
Am I
back.
back?
No, you've
Yeah.
always been there. You just get stuck in between for a couple
Okay.
of
Okay.
seconds.
Sorry.
Yes, you are back.
So basically, from there as a system and process and how they work,
Ah.
and kind of bring them and learn from there, and kind of, because they have a huge amount of system in play. They're way ahead of us in terms of production. They're way ahead of us in terms of systems. And that for us to bring it to our level is really, really important, because what happens is you might have a great idea, but we don't have the
Hmm.
capacity to execute that great idea today, I believe. Because we're finally working
Hmm.
with people who are non-skilled, or people who don't really come from that kind of a background to actually understand the level of cleanliness you're talking about. Painting a white paint on a wall, and we know where that painter comes from, the background of the painter. He's never seen a wall as white as the dirty white wall he's painting.
Hmm.
So if he leaves a small mark of his hand on it, He can't see that is the whitest he's ever seen. So to come from that kind of a background, how do you make people conscious of the fact that, this is the level of work that they need to do? And our work completely depends on the latter side of execution, where all these people come into play. So that whole, as an industry, I think we need to kind of look into this aspect. And then we talk about artisans, we talk about, I think as a part of this whole industry, which kind of produces certain things, I think it's important to build that second level of people who kind of come and do justice to your great idea. Otherwise, our idea will remain idea and execution will remain shitty as always. So the challenge has to be overcome, and I think that has to be brought about in everybody is trying to make designers, but everybody is trying to, all design institutes are trying to make designers. But what about the support system that the industry demands? That also has to be a huge amount of work in that area, because all our great ideas, will go down the drain if you can't execute properly. So that, so I kind of, all these exposures that I have from multiple places and learnings that you practice and try and make things better. And so a lot of these smaller projects that keep coming up and they keep, letting you be interested in it more. And this time, I went to London for the last project, and this time I carried earthen pots, 20 of them from here with my own luggage. So I was bumped up to first class because I was carrying 200 kilos of pots with me, and I was hoping they don't break. So we managed to get all the other production done. Pots, something that were like really costing us a bomb to get in London. They were basic terracotta pots, the gamlas that we talk about. So I carried a 21-inch size of gamla from here, 20 of them, with my personal luggage to London and set it up. And like I said,
and that turned out to be an award-winning. That also turned out to be an award-winning.
The first one that I did, the first one that I did was right, because I think the narrative was stronger in the first one, where we were kind of India was participating for the first time, and the narrative was completely different from what everybody else thought India was about. So we completely brought to the table what we were really about, and not what the world thought we were about. So sometimes you play around that, whole cliche of the fact that should I give my client or the person what he really thinks I am, or should I give him what is really there. So being honest to your process, being honest to what you're projecting is a very, very core part of you being a designer. So what we did was we put up what we thought we were, and we had a very, very strong narrative going with it. And I think combined with the exhibits on display also, obviously the fashion designers did a great job at that. And all of that together came in a very, 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 very tight story. And there was no way that they were not going to give us the award. They wanted to give us all the awards, but unfortunately they had to distribute awards among different countries. Otherwise, other countries would feel bad.
Of course.
But it was a good exercise. And see, my personal journey is that the more people I meet with, the better I become as a person and as a designer. So, me working with multiple peoples and, coming across different things and working in multiple domains, I'm at one time I'm doing a 200 square feet space, and at the same time I'm doing a 6 lakh square feet space. I'm doing an impermanent and a permanent space together at the same time. So I think
how do you work with scale? Like the scale goes completely for a toss in between a 200 square feet to a 6 lakh square feet.
You keep your fundamentals in place. You don't let go of your fundamentals. So that's the only way to go ahead. Fundamentals are underrated, and I think they should be focused upon more, because there's only one process that I know how to do design. There's no multiple processes. In terms of how I execute my project, whether it's so whether it's a tiny project or a very large scale project, or whether I'm working with 3 people or 200 people or 20,000 people, everything remains the same. The scale of certain things differ. So the management becomes a little painful and larger aspect of work when you're doing the large scale projects. And when you're doing smaller scale projects, the other side of it becomes a challenge where you're dealing with indecisiveness on the client side, or let's say whatever it is. So a lot of different challenges, different projects throw at you, and you kind of stick to your fundamentals and your basics, and you can do wonderful work, I think. So just about that, yeah.
So where next, Wasim? What do you see?
Right now,
Of
right now
course,
I feel like no. Right now I feel like I am not in the driving seat. I think my work is driving me currently, so I don't know what next. I think we. I want to do more stuff. I want to do obviously more actively work with, let's say, change by design and do more projects in those domains, and obviously keep these different passion projects that come my way and keep experimenting with those things while my mainstream work of obviously kind of team obviously at Lemon. Uh,
Wasim, we've lost you, I think, again for a bit. Have we?
yeah. So I'm saying that Cape,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
fortunate to
so.
have a
Yeah,
great team at Lemon. So they kind
yeah,
of help me manage the project that we're doing currently. Gives me a little bit of time on my side to kind of do different things. But yeah, I mean it's about I don't know where this is going to lead me. But right now I'm still enjoying the, let's say, the part where I'm still doing a lot of work that I wanted to do till now, and I'm in the midst of that process. And then I think it will take me at least a couple of years to kind of get done with those things. So because I have like almost like 5 museum projects in the pipeline,
yeah,
and hopefully in the next couple of years they'll all go live. And in the meanwhile, a lot of other smaller projects are there. But I mean, I can't ask for too much in terms of work, because as whether it's Chamber Design or whether it's Lemon or whether it's general people who give me projects, I've been very fortunate to get the variety of project that I've been getting. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better portfolio of work to kind of work on. And it just I mean, it just somehow it's kind of taken up things by itself. And every time somehow we get, so now we have people coming to us saying that, I have one of the builders from Bombay, one of the leading builders from Bombay, came to us saying that, we have this 20,000 square feet of space in our apartments at
hmm.
the ground floor.
Huh.
Suggest, tell me what to do. So now people come to us with that. They have space and they come to us asking us what to do.
Which I think
So
is a
that's
great space to be in, also,
it's a
right?
great space
Which
to
is a
be in.
great
Yes,
space
it's a
to
great
be in.
space to be in. Right,
Yeah,
because then you can actually understand and make something that's more meaningful. Because see, it's basically like this whole project was, we did something called a Children Enrichment Center, which basically focuses on, it's all like design education, what we talk about, learning through your five senses and trying to be more observative and more tactile, and trying to listen to your senses and, be present at that point of time. So we basically built something that was kind of because we were building this for a place which was like a very, very premium place, and the people living there had exposure to anything that they could, you could imagine. So why would I build something that
yeah,
they can access anywhere else? So we kind of built an in-between
yeah,
place where we wanted kids to come here and explore things that actually help them understand their own self, and help them understand their sense of sight, help them understand their sense of touch, smell. So we kind of created these different activities that will actually kind of, build on those senses and help you figure out what you're good at. So we did an
okay,
investment center. So that concept was completely kind of, the client told us, tell us what to do, and we told him this is what will work for you, and this will become a part of the feature of the
yeah.
place that you're building. So now these are the kind of projects we're getting. People come to us with land, and
No,
people
and
come
how
to
does
us with
it,
spaces.
and being in that space, how does it feel to be again? And for everybody, guys, it does take many, many years of work and experience to reach where Wasim is right now. Where, I'm sure everybody wants to be in an enjoyable position where clients are going to listen to you and they ask you as to, what do you think
Yeah.
that can be done over here? And so, yeah, that was just a bit for everybody to kind of chew upon a little.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's difficult to kind of sum it up. It's just like I said, you
I
have
know,
to
I
make
can invest.
you have to make the client believe that you are on his side and nobody else's. That can
That's
come
true.
from multiple ways. That can come from you doing your job well, first thing. So if you deliver what you're supposed to deliver, that's when you
And
actually end up building
honestly,
trust.
and do your
And
job
honestly,
honestly.
no, see,
Of course.
there's certain values that you need to have if you're a designer. If you don't have those values, you're not a designer. I mean, I can say it outright. Humility
Hmm.
is one of the core values. If you're not humble, sorry to say, you might not be a designer. Okay? So those are basic core values. Honesty. You have to have these values, and if you don't have them,
And
believe me,
just adding
believe me,
integrity. Yeah.
integrity. So these values, if you don't have, you can't do great work. or you will not be a great
Yeah.
person, or you will not be somebody that people will kind of look up to at some point of time. So you just stick to those basic values when you're doing stuff, and then it's just it's a smooth sailing after that. You just do your job honestly, put as much as you can put. So honestly, like even in terms of delivering work, don't hold back. You know that that person needs it. You need to go all out to give it, and that's a basic value again. What we practice at Lemon. I mean, we don't hold back because the client is paying an. Don't hold back in the quality of design or the deliverable. If you think that a couple of things are needed extra to make sure that his the solution is completely there, we don't go back to the proposal and say that you have to change this. No. So
Yeah.
basically, for us, it's very very clear. You kind of you're looking at design more holistically. You're not looking at it in compartments. You're not looking at your contracts. Once you kind of come on board to solve a certain problem, then whatever that problem entails, you're supposed to deliver.
And you
Whatever
take it
hard
all
work,
along with you. You
right?
take it
And
all along with you.
whatever hard work you need to do at the contract stage. So make
Yeah.
sure that you do things properly at the contract stage, because that's a very very important. As we think that that part of the work is not important, but that's really really important, and it's a very very challenging area where people are not getting the engagement right. And that's why there's
Yeah.
so much disparity between the clients not being satisfied, people think that they've overpaid, or people think that they're getting underpaid. So that expectation is really important to manage. So I think that whole side of managing design is really really important, and an equally important part of design as doing the design actually is. And if you
And I
keep
think,
all of
Wasim, you will also agree upon this, that this happens, and the whole aspect of managing design and everything is something that you learn on the go. It's not something that any institute can instill or
right,
anything. It
like
just
it's
can instill the core values that you mentioned, but the rest of it is
absolutely,
something that how
absolutely.
you do.
Absolutely. See, the thing is, at least at NID, you're a little fortunate because you do a lot of your on-site projects and you do your thesis project with a client. So you at least get to know the basic ropes of, how things work. But that is
Yeah.
not enough. This is a
Yeah.
practice-based discipline. It's like, the more you practice, the more you learn. So and that's why it's called practice. It's not a job that you do. And the more you do it, the more you learn, and you learn from your previous mistakes or work, and you move forward. So we still make mistake. We still like, making contracts is the last thing that me and Bhavani want to get into when we're doing our contracts. But
Yeah.
it is an important part. And if you do that really well in the beginning, then for the rest of the project, you're not thinking about it. Otherwise, that becomes such a big baggage in your whole process of doing design that you don't
Ah.
really want to get there. So you do this work in
Ah.
the beginning, put all the hard work there, and make sure that things are in place. And then when you get to design, then you're only doing design. So
You
that
so
that
you
that
set the
that
ground. You set the groundwork
you
in
set the ground,
place, and then that's when you get to do. And I think
right?
I think it wouldn't be a better time to. I'll start closing this, and
Right.
I think wouldn't be anything better than what you just said to close this whole thing. And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Wasim, not only for this bate, not only for coming back live again and capturing the
And
request from the audience,
that was
but
my fault. That was my fault that we didn't finish on time.
no,
I
no, no, no,
accept
no,
my I
not. It was
accept
just a
my
good thing. Even I didn't realize that how time was flying. To be very, very honest, and that's the case. In spite of having so many conversations with you in so many years, it always feels like time is less, which I think is a great thing. And yes, once again, thank you so much for the inspiration, for everything, and for just sharing a lot of things with us, Wasim. Thank you so much.
yeah, and it gave me at least an opportunity to kind of look back at my last 18, 20 years of life and reflect on that too, because you don't kind of get that time usually. And I'm sure it was a lot. It was quite a bit hinging around nostalgia. So yeah, I'm sure
But what's the harm?
people from at
What's
least
the
more
harm?
time.
Always. Yeah. So thanks a lot. Thank you, Bate, for having us, and for the amazing audience. Sorry we couldn't take on any of the questions. Or somehow that wasn't the agenda to kind of roll this around question and answers. It was just
Right.
about having a conversation and chatting up a couple of things. But do reach out to Wasim if you have anything specific to ask on Instagram,
Yeah,
and I'm sure Wasim will be
absolutely,
open to
absolutely.
help. And yeah, thanks. This will be up soon
Yeah.
on IGTV of Bate. So thank you everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
thank
much,
you
Wasim.
everybody for being such a patient listener. I'll try working on my time skills. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you. Bye bye. Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.